Welcome to Fantasia, home to Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys another post-duel commentary. Now this time, gonna be playing with my Predaplant Melodious deck. Okay, so starting off here, looking at our opening hand, we see that I have a Max C and a Ghost Ogre, two, of course, really good hand traps right now, and great to have when going second, which I am in this case because I lost the rock, paper, scissors, and my opponent decided to go first. I also have the YGOPro in my hand, which is kind of nice because I can easily clear out my opponent's field before trying to go for my own, but unfortunately, I only have a cannon and a useless Saphira in my hand because I have all these other cards, the board wipes and the hand traps. So my opponent goes for a terraforming, and the connection for the servers was kind of bad, so everything was kind of laggy, and I'm pretty sure the recording kind of stutters a little bit too. I'm not sure why that was, but yeah, this is just to let you guys know that it's not your computers, it was actually on my end. Okay, so my opponent goes for the terraforming and searches out the Trickstar light stage, and I was kind of disappointed when I saw that, because looking at his username, Burn Bay Burn, yeah, it wasn't gonna be it wasn't gonna be very pretty. So yeah, he searches out for the Trickstar Candina, and Candina gets normal summoned, and Candina's effect will activate. Now, I believe I go for the Ghost Ogre here because I know that Lycorissia, or Lycorisica, whatever the other Trickstar name is, she is pretty important to the burn build. So I was thinking, okay, if he has it in the hand, which of course he does, he can bounce back the Candina and save it from the Ghost Ogre, but if he doesn't, then I can get rid of the Candina and I don't have to worry about the Lycorisica coming out this turn. But unfortunately, you know, he had it, and yeah, the rest is history, right? So I chained the Maxi so I can get a draw off of the Lycorisica summon, but unfortunately he has the chain summoning that he chained, and yeah, that really blows, because now he can return the Candina to his hand and he's gonna be able to normal summon her 2 more times. And that gets him 2 more searches, and probably gets all 3 Lycorisicas out of the deck, as well as a Trickstar reincarnation, which that's just yeah. I'm not sure if he could have gone for the OTK, but as you can tell by the length of this video, he obviously wasn't successful in that. So yeah, if you guys want, you can grab, you know, some snacks, grab a drink or something, and enjoy the ride. This is gonna be one heck of a ride. So he searches out the 3rd copy of Lycorisica with his Candina, and right now I'm just hoping that once he searches the reincarnation, he does not activate it during my draw phase or standby phase, because I really need this YGOPro. And if this YGOPro can get set, if I can set the YGOPro onto my field, so you know it can't get banished by reincarnation whenever he decides to activate it, then I'll be good, because then I can get rid of all 3 Lycorisicas, and that'll be that. But unfortunately, because I dropped the Max C, every time my opponent special summons, I actually get burned, because every time I draw, the Lycorisica and the light stage will activate, and yeah, burn me for 200 chip damage for every card that I draw, times, you know, however many copies of Lycorisica he has on the field. And see here, yeah, burn for 400, 600, 800, 1,000, and 1,200. 1,200 for every card that I draw is quite a bit, especially because this deck likes to search, and as you can see, the pre-preparation of rights and stuff is sitting there, and that's not looking too pretty. And of course, my opponent ends with his last search of Trickstar Reincarnation, so he could attempt to banish my entire hand and get additional burn damage in. So looking at this hand right now, my number 1 priority, of course, is setting the YGOPro, and the second priority is actually setting that pre-preparation of rights. I do not want that to be banished, because that's, of course, +1. It's very easy for me to come back from the game if I can get a Saphira onto the field. The other cool thing is that if he doesn't use his Trickstar Reincarnation, I have Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio that I just drew another copy of, but Orpheus Scorpio's discard is a cost, so I'll be able to get another card out of my hand immediately just by summoning him, right? So my opponent luckily does not activate Reincarnation during the draw or the standby phase, so I'm able to set that Raigeki, and I'm able to set that Pre-Preparation of Rites because he just didn't decide to chain anything, which is really great for me. Because now I can summon the Orpheus Scorpio, and Scorpio will be able to discard yet another card out of my hand. So if he does use Reincarnation, it only banish 3 cards. So what I want to discard here is I want to go for the Saphra, because Saphra is a card that I definitely want to keep in circulation. If I get Cannon or Orpheus Scorpio banished, it doesn't really matter because I play Levier in my extra deck. And that means that I can summon them back whenever I feel like it. I can summon back the Scorpio and discard something, get another Cobra, or I can summon back the Cannon if I need another level 4 body on my side of the field. Now, when I summon Darlingtonia Cobra, I'm like, okay, I do not want to go for this search. I was contemplating it for a little bit, but it just didn't make sense. I would add another card to my hand, and then my opponent would obviously flip the Reincarnation because he didn't flip it during the draw or standby phase. I knew that he was waiting for me to search a key combo piece before trying to banish my stuff. So yeah, a lot of players tend to do that with Reincarnation. They kind of save it, but he really should have activated during my draw or standby phase because he's trying to play the burn variant. So the faster he gets my life points down, the better it is for him. So I was thinking of ways to bait out that Reincarnation. Of course, the easiest way is to just activate the Raigeki, because then I can get rid of all 3 Lycorisicas in one go, and this forces him to use his Reincarnation now, because if he doesn't, he won't get the burn damage from Lycorisica and Light Stage. So there, I'm getting burned for a lot of damage. 800 times 3, that's 2400 damage, and yeah, I'm left with only 2000 life points. Actually a very dangerous spot to be with, in case my opponent is playing something like Heartland Draco or stuff like that, where they can just attack me directly. I believe Trickstar decks should be playing that card because it's so good, just 2000 to the face to finish games off, just that little bit of extra push. But yeah, anyway, because his field is clear, I could go for the Pre-Preparation of Rites. I'm actually calculating right now what would happen if I do go for it right now, because you see the Trickstar Reincarnation in his graveyard. It can actually bring back the Lycorisica from his graveyard. So if he does that, and I activate the Pre-Preparation of Rites, he'll chain the Reincarnation, bring back the Lycorisica. I'll add 2 cards to my hand. I'll add the Hymn of Light and the Saphra, and because I add 2 cards, then the Lycorisica and Light Stage will burn for every card that I add. So Lycorisica will burn 400, and then the Light Stage will burn for another 200. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to have to deal with that. So I go for the Super Quantum Mech Beast Grand Pulse. Absolutely phenomenal card. Spell and trap removal is very, very important, especially now that, again, I keep mentioning this in my deck profiles, but field spells are very, very prominent right now, and they're only going to get better as we see with Trickstar Light Stage following the suit of things like the Hidden City and Spower Resort, all these cards that just search on activation, things like Union Hanger if you're looking at previous metas. But yeah, now I feel a little safer activating the Pre-Preparation of Rites, because now that even if he brings back the Lycorisica, I only get burned for 400 damage, 200 for every card that I add. And at this point, with 2,000 life points, like you might be wondering, okay, well, you got rid of the Light Stage, that saves you 200 life points, why does it matter? It actually does matter when you're against Trickstars, because you have to remember that cards like Lilybell can actually attack directly, and she has 800 attack, so I have to preserve as much life points as I possibly can just to make sure that I don't get sacked by just him top decking something that he needs at the moment, right? So yeah, here I search out the Saphra and the Hymn of Light, and I go for a Ritual Summon. Because I did not use the effect of my Darlingtonia Cobra, I actually keep the second copy of Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio in my hand. And this is great, because if I draw into another monster, I can summon the Cobra out from my deck, and then possibly go for a Brilliant Fusion or something else, and go and extend my plays. So I go for the Saphra, and Saphra attacks into Lycorisica. I was really scared of Honest, but really, like, what could I do? I was going to lose if I left it on the field anyway, so I thought I might as well risk it. But yeah, here I could have easily tried to discard a card from his hand, get rid of that Candina, but I thought, you know what, I really need the card advantage right now, so I decided to draw 2 cards and discard 1 instead. I drew into the Obliterate, which is actually kind of nice, and I discarded the Soprano. Now I could have discarded the Obliterate and kept the Soprano so that Orpheus Scorpio had another card that it could discard, but I decided against it. I thought Obliterate will probably come in handy, just as that one layer of disruption, because right now my field is kind of pathetic, and oh, there we go, my opponent drops that Raigeki on me, and thankfully that Hymn of Light is there to protect my Saphra, or else you could just normal summon the Candina and swing for game, right? Unfortunately, I do lose that Grand Pulse, so I do lose that Spell and Trap removal, but it should be fine. His Candina ran out of course, Lycoristica, so he cannot be burning me every time I draw cards, but he can still easily go for stuff like Light Stage, and he can easily go for things like another Reincarnation, which of course he does, because Reincarnation, not only can it banish the cards that I currently have in my hand, but it can also revive the Lycoristicas from his graveyard, so he can finish me off with just that little bit more burn that he needs. And he's sitting comfortably at 7,100 life points, but it's important to note that Trickstars, if they're playing the burn variant and you got rid of all 3 Lycoristicas, it's actually very difficult for them to recover. So I'm keeping that in mind, and I'm trying to keep him as suppressed as possible. Now, I know what build he's playing. He's playing the identical build to Lithium. So I've watched this video and I kind of know what the cards are in his deck, so I'm expecting things like Duel and Lockbird and stuff like that as well. Now, oh well, and there's the Duel and Lockbird. So, earlier in the duel, I discarded the Saphra with the Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio because I knew that Pre-Preparation of Rites could add it back from the graveyard to my hand. Unfortunately, here it didn't really matter because, yeah. He had the not the Reincarnation, but yeah, he had the Reincarnation for that. So I lost my entire hand, and because of Duel and Lockbird, I was not able to draw anything. So really deadly combo, really. I can't say like it's smart, but it's just a nice little tech to have. It's not really reliable, you know, if you draw too late, or as you can see, if my opponent draws into multiple copies of Duel and Lockbird and I already have no hand, it's just kind of useless. So he activates another Trickstar Light Stage that he searched out with the Terraforming, which will allow him to go for another search. But because Trickstar Light Stage has that effect where it, my opponent can target one of my set spell and trap cards and lock it down for the turn, I was like, okay, there's no way I want that to happen. I need to activate my Obliterate now. He knows I have the Obliterate on the field, and he's probably going to try to bait it out, is my thought. But if he does, if he tries to go for, like, you know, a Castell or something, I could easily just bounce it back with the Obliterate and leave his field wide open so I could go for some damage with my Saphra on my next turn. Now here, he makes a bit of a weird play. Well, I say weird because it's not something that I would have done. He brought back the Candina with his Trickstar Reincarnation. And then he's going to go and search with his Light Stage. So I thought here, oh no, he's going to win, because if he searched out a Lilybell can attack me for 800, leaving me with 600 left. Lilybell will be able to add that Lycoristica from his graveyard back to his hand, and then he'll be able to summon it, and Lycoristica will be able to burn me for 400, which leaves me at 200 life points. And because he has the Candina and stuff on the field already, I can't activate spells or trap cards and things like that, or else I would just burn. And yeah, so he would have left me in a huge predicament if he played the Lilybell, and apparently he wasn't playing that because he's trying to focus solely on the Candina, Lycoristica, burn, OTK kind of thing. So if you can pass that first turn, if you can survive the first turn against Trickstars and you can get rid of their field like I did with the Raigeki, I was lucky in that regard, but they actually have a very difficult time recovering, and that's something that you're seeing right now, where he has nothing that can get over the Saphra that I have on my field, and I'm not worried about Castell or anything like that because of my Obliterate. Now here, this was actually very unexpected. I did not expect him to summon the Tornado Dragon, and I know what he wants. He wants me to activate the Obliterate to try to bounce it back so that he can chain the Tornado Dragon and destroy my Obliterate, and my Obliterate resolves without effect because it's no longer on the field. But because I know that, I'm just going to sit here, because why would I, unless he's baiting out my Obliterate, like he's forcing it with like a Mystical Space Typhoon or something, I'm not going to activate it. So with no other choice, he decides to use Tornado Dragon's effect to destroy my Obliterate. So now I chain the Obliterate so my Obliterate can resolve before it gets destroyed. Now unfortunately I can't add back any contract with Exodius from my graveyard because you can only activate one effective Obliterate per turn, but it acted as a compulsory evacuation device that thinned my deck out, so I was really happy with that. Now, unfortunately, the next draw that I got was a polymerization, which is completely dead. And yeah, I just decided to hold it in my hand because I didn't want the light stage to just, you know, send it to my graveyard during the end of his turn, which is definitely something you have to keep in mind when playing against Trickstars. But again, that opens you up to Trickstar Reincarnation, which my opponent has right now. But because I kind of get used to my opponent's tendencies, I see that, okay, he's not really activating Reincarnation during my draw or standby phases. He probably won't activate it now. And players do have these habits that you should, as a player, you should pick up on. You should try to read your opponent and what they're doing, see what they're consistently making mistakes at, because they tend to not fix it in the middle of gameplay. They're too focused on playing the cards, right? So I noticed, okay, he didn't activate the Reincarnation, so now I have this Soul Charge, and I'm thinking I can Soul Charge back a Soprano, add back a Cannon, but then Reincarnation will go off and it'll get banished. So then I'll just be left with a Soprano on the field, and that's no good, right? So I decide, you know what, I'm going to set the Soul Charge just in case, and I'm going to set the Polymerization as a bluff, just in case he uses the Trickstar late stage to try to force one of my back rows during his end phase. So then I enter the battle phase, and again, no fear of on this right now, because I'm like, it's really just, you know, win or die at this point. There's no beating around the bush, there's no stalling and waiting for him to do something, because the more cards that he gets, the more chance that he has, because at this point I still didn't know that he wasn't playing Lilybell, so I was like, the more chance he has of drawing to Lilybell, attacking me directly, getting that Lycoristica onto the field, and just basically winning. But because he doesn't play the Lilybell, I was like, okay, this is fine. Of course, this is me reflecting back on it as a post-commentator, but during the game I was just like, oh my god, oh my god. I never really knew what would happen next, and whether or not I would just lose within the next 10 seconds because of his miracle draws. But yeah, here he has his Trickstar life stage that he could, of course, easily activate, and then when he set this monster right here, I was like, okay, that is probably going to be another spare Drone Lockbird or some other hand trap that he possibly has, like, you know, a Maxi. So at this point, I was pretty confident that it probably isn't a Lilybell, because if it was a Lilybell, he would normal summon it and attack me directly for that 800. But yeah, anyway, he uses the Trickstar light stage and targets my Polymerization, locks it down for this turn. Probably should have done that before he set the monster, but you know, little tiny details aside, during the end phase, I'm actually forced to send that Polymerization to the graveyard once he resolves the effect of light stage. Because I can't activate it. Of course, if he targeted my Soul Charge, I could actually activate that Soul Charge. Even if it's a normal spell card, I can activate it due to Trickstar Light Stage's effect, and I could bring something back. Of course, that's also a very dangerous move, because the fact that I only have 1400 life points, and Soul Charge will eat 1000 if I bring one monster back. Now, I know he has a set Reincarnation. He still hasn't activated it, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna set this Terraforming and just leave it, because if he tries to target it with his light stage, it'll lock it down for the turn, which doesn't matter because it's a spell card, and then during the end phase I get to actually get my search, and getting my search on his end phase is very crucial, because again, he's not activating his Reincarnation during my standby phase or draw phase, and that's actually just, again, something that you have to pick up your opponent's playstyles and patterns and what they tend to do. So yeah, that's always that's just really good. Okay, so my opponent draws, and at this time, I'm like, okay, I just attacked a Droll Lockbird, so of course he's playing 3 Droll Lockbirds. He might have a 3rd copy in his deck somewhere, and at this point, he doesn't really seem to have any other monsters. I think he was really just relying on the light stage, searching the Candina, searching the Lycoristica for that first turn kill. Here, he uses the light stage and he hits that Terraforming. Smart play, because, of course, the other back row I did not activate, so he can assume that it's going to be harmless, and whatever I just newly set is unknown, so it's smart to lock that unknown card down. Now, he sets additional back row, another copy, another trap card, and at this point, once I saw Droll and Lockbird and the Chain Summoning all in the same deck, I just immediately thought this is Lithium's build, and because I watched his videos, I know that the other back row that he played was something like Solemn Strike, so that's what I was assuming. So at this point I was like, okay, even if I can activate Saphira, I'm not going to activate Saphira because I'm scared of a Solemn Strike. Even if without knowledge of Lithium's build, I would definitely be very careful of that unknown back row, because in my personal builds, I play 3 reincarnation and 3 strike. So my first assumption here would be that, okay, that other back row is going to be dangerous. It's going to be some form of negation, like strike and things like that. So yeah. Anyway, during the end phase of my opponent's turn, I used the effect of terraforming, like I mentioned earlier, and I searched out my ritual sanctuary, immediately activating it during my main phase 1, because of course my opponent's just not using reincarnation for like absolutely no reason. I don't know why. Unfortunately, I do have the Ben 10, so I can't, you know, set it or summon it, and it's just kind of stuck in my hand. So if he banishes it with reincarnation, so be it. I don't really mind, because I already summoned my Saphra, and my other Saphra got banished, and both copies of my Hymn of Light are banished, so I can't ritual summon anyway. The one card that I'm just waiting for him to hit actually is a Soul Charge right now, because if he hits my Soul Charge with his Trickstar Light Stage, then during his end phase I could summon back the Soprano and add the cannon to my hand safely. But actually here he uses the reincarnation, and I was like, okay, that's a weird time to use the reincarnation. But now I don't actually have to worry, because he went through all 3 of them. Again, grinding out your opponent's resources is very, very important. Doesn't matter what deck you're playing, but especially for a deck like this where you have 60 cards, and there's a lot of combo potential in your draws. Unfortunately, I draw into another copy of Cannon, but Cannon's actually going to be fine, and she'll serve me very well in the upcoming plays, and I'll get to that, of course, when it comes up on screen. But at this point, I do have access to Ritual Sanctuary, and because I know that he has no more reincarnations, if I use Ritual Sanctuary and summon the Soprano and add the cannon back to my hand, that's going to be very, very good, because I can go for some rank 4 plays. And of course, there's that unknown back row that my opponent has set. So the card that, of course, I'm going to summon with my 2 level 4s is going to be a Tornado Dragon, because I want to get rid of it, and then on my opponent's turn, I want to get rid of that Trickstar Light Stage. The Light Stage is it's it's very dangerous, to say the least, because right now if I use the Soul Charge and I pay 1,000, I'll have 400 life points left. That means if he was able to summon a Lycoristica and I have my next draw phase coming up, I'll burn 200 from the Lycoristica and I'll burn 200 from the Light Stage, which means that would be game. So I'm in a very, very dangerous state right now. And yeah, so here I activate Soprano's effect after summoning her back to try to add that cannon from my graveyard to my hand, and as expected, it was a copy of Solemn Strike. But this was a good thing, because I did not need that Soprano to come back. Actually, didn't need it. All I needed to do was get rid of that back row. I didn't know if there was going to be Solemn Strike, Storming Mirror Forces, or anything like that. So that's always very important. That's all I wanted, was to get rid of the back row. Now, I enter the battle phase, and I'm thinking, okay, I could attack with Cannon, and I could attack directly with Saphra. But I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I shouldn't do that, because he has reincarnation in his graveyard, which means he could bring back a Trickstar anyway and halt my attack. So I attack with Saphra first to be safe, just in case it was a Lilybell, because I know Lilybell does have 2,000 defense, and if for whatever reason he set it, I won't take damage from crashing into it with a cannon, because that would put me out of range of my Soul Charge. So yeah, now it was only a Max C, but it just felt so good to play it safe. So I attack with my cannon, and he's going to activate his reincarnation to, of course, bring back something from his graveyard to prevent me, or to deter me from attacking. He's going to target his Candina and summon the Candina in attack mode, I believe. Yeah, because that way Candina's 1800 attack deters my cannon's 1400 attack, right? I'm definitely not going to crash my cannon into that. Losing 400 life points at this point would basically mean game over for me, because of the fact that I need that Soul Charge in my graveyard to go off. And of course, I'm not activating it by myself, because I still value my battle phase. I still want to get rid of his monsters, because 1, I don't know what they are when he's setting them, and 2, I do not want him to accumulate resources. I need to dwindle them away slowly. So yeah, with his Trickstar reincarnation there, he's probably going to try to lock down this last back row, and if he does, I will be able to activate Soul Charge during his end phase, which is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah. Another reason why I did not attack with the cannon first is the face down card, even if it wasn't a Lily Bell, it could have been an Honest, and Honest has 1900 defense and cannon has 1400 attack, so I would have taken 500 damage that would have been completely unnecessary. And that also would have put me at 900 life points, which was again out of soul charge range and all that. So yeah, he used the Trickstar light stage and locked down my back row, and here of course I'm going to choose to activate my soul charge. So yeah, that's going to be absolutely amazing for me. So I activate the targeted card and I say, okay, I'm going to bring back the Soprano, and Soprano is going to get summoned, and then I get to use Soprano's effect to add that cannon from my graveyard back to my hand, which is going to be amazing. Now, here I can actually go for a rank 4 play, and I draw into a Brilliant Fusion, which is nice, but unfortunately I can't send the Trick Clown and everything like that, because of course I would take 1,000 and I'd lose. But right now I'm thinking, okay, I can definitely discard this Brilliant Fusion because I have the 2 pre-preparation of rights in my graveyard, and now I have the Soul Charge in my grave. That's 3 spell cards. So if I discard the Brilliant Fusion, that's 4 spell cards, and I could bring back that Soprano from my graveyard and then add the cannon back to my hand, so I get another chance at a rank 4 play in case something happens to this Tornado Dragon. Of course, because my opponent just set a new back row. Now, I know that my opponent's 1700 life points, and of course, yeah, Solemn Strikes are still going to be live, and it's smart of him to do that if he has the Honest in hand, because of course, if looking at his life points right now, if I attack with the Saphra, he would lose into the Candina because the 700 attack difference. But he types in chat Honest, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if he's like baiting me or what. It's probably not an Honest because that card's been in his hand for a while and he hasn't used it previously when I attacked into his monsters. But just for that little bit of BM here, I'm just gonna extend a little bit. You know, he kind of deserves it for playing the burn version of Trickstars, and I go for this Castel to shuffle back his Trickstar Candina so that even if it wasn't Honest in his hand, you know, he would have no other options left. So yeah, activate Castel's effect and my opponent surrenders. So whew. That was quite the game. So yeah, anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Melodious content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.